Hey, I'm Jennifer Blanchard. I'm an author, a podcaster, the Feel Good Life Coach, and a mindset alchemist. I help you to tell a new story about yourself and your life. And one of the biggest stories that most people have, including myself, I had this story for a really long time, is that money is a struggle. Money is hard. Money is something that takes a long time to receive or to get. That there's lack and there's limitation. And all of that is what keeps you from receiving the money that you desire to have. So, I have been wanting to do this video for a couple of weeks now. I got this download a few weeks ago, just really clear as day. Like, I have been for the last 2 years working on my money mindset, on my wealth consciousness, and I just got the message that I need to share this with other people, that I need to talk about this, that I need to create a video series called Creating Wealth Consciousness. And it really felt like a direct message from the universe. Like, this is what people need right now. This is what you've been working on, and you need to share what you've been working on. And it felt like a very clear message. And I kind of been avoiding it because I kept thinking like I had to make this fancier and I had to do a whole intro video and all these things just to make the series look professional. And then I realized you know what? That shit doesn't matter. Only thing that matters is the information that I'm going to share with you here and the way it's going to transform your life. So let's just kind of start with the basics, right? The foundation of what this whole series is going to be about and why it matters. So there are, two consciousnesses that you can have when it comes to money. And one is wealth consciousness, right? So that is all the beliefs, all the things that you think, all the things you do are in alignment with wealth, with you being a wealthy person. And then there is poverty consciousness, which is the opposite of that, right? So it's the focus on lack, on limitation, on beliefs that keep you stuck in that place of thinking that money is hard and money is a struggle and all of that. And most of us have a poverty consciousness in our society simply because of the way we're raised, by the way we're taught things, the things that our society tells us. And so unless we were blessed enough to be raised by people who had wealth consciousness, there's a really good chance that you're going to struggle with money for the rest of your life. And that was what I was coming up against as an entrepreneur, as a person who just wanted to have this amazing life. Money was always a struggle. It was always that there was never enough, or there was just enough, but there was never more than enough. And, some months there was a lot and some months there was nothing. And it was just a whole roller coaster of up and down, feast or famine. And I had got so freaking sick of it. I had gotten so sick of it where I just didn't like that something was happening that I couldn't control. Or at least I felt like I couldn't control it, right? Until I learned what I didn't know. And what I didn't know was that wealth consciousness is necessary to be somebody who receives money in large amounts consistently and without really having to do a ton of work. And more on that in the future videos because I can't cover everything in this video, obviously. So wealth consciousness is something that you have to create for yourself. It's something that you have to take back because you are born feeling that way, right? You are born with abundant mindset. You are born not knowing the beliefs and the illusions that other people create in the external world. And so when you're a child, unless you are told things about money that basically cause you to believe in these limitations and believe in those illusions, you just grow up to be somebody who doesn't really worry about money. You grow up to be somebody who always has money, doesn't have to worry. When they need something or want something, the money shows up for it, right? That it's just there for them. And the difference is wealth consciousness. Now, also, wealth consciousness is not just about money. We will be talking a lot about money in this series, but it's not just about money. And we'll definitely talk about that as well, because wealth is not just about how much money do you have. It's also about, do you have health? Do you have a relationship that you love? Do you have family connections and friends? Do you have a social life? Do you have work that you enjoy that fulfills you, that makes you feel really good? Do you have, your gifts and talents? Are you giving them back to the world? Are you sharing them? Are you indulging in the things you're excited about and creative things and all that stuff? That is wealth consciousness. That's having a life that is beyond just get up, go to work, make some money, retire, and die. There's so much more to it, right? And if you have wealth consciousness, then you're going to have more success in all of the areas of your life, not just one. So And that's what this is all about, really. That's what creating wealth consciousness is. It's stepping into the wealthy version of yourself. Now, again, you're born with abundance. You're born feeling abundant, and it's all the things you learn after that fact that change that for you. So I'm going to say something now that is kind of hard to hear, especially if you were someone like me, are someone like me who grew up with poverty consciousness, right? So I grew up in a lower middle class family. We didn't have a lot of money. My parents had gotten divorced when I was really young. Both of them went through some serious money struggles, including, like having cars repoed and, not having enough for things and having to borrow money and all that. So the typical story that most people have about their childhood, right? That they didn't grow up rich, they didn't have a lot of money, and, they just struggled to get by. But yet somehow my family always wasn't able to have what we needed, right? To take care of it. And we still got to have some fun as well. So it wasn't all bad, right? But the problem is that the parts that were bad were happening at a time in my life as a child where my mind was taking it all in, right? As a sponge. It was very subconscious at that point. And whatever you learn and experience and all of that between the ages of when you're born to about age 7, it just becomes your programming, right? It just becomes who you are, and you don't realize that that's what's happening. So that's what happened for me, right? So my parents were divorced. I saw them fight about child support all the time. I saw them getting into, issues and things because of money. And so I grew up believing things like money is hard, money is a struggle, money doesn't come around that much. It's really hard to make money, whatever. All of those beliefs and things that have kept me stuck for most of my adult life until I decided to take back control and create wealth consciousness for myself. So if you feel like, wait, that's me, right? Like I have poverty consciousness. This is, again, it's hard to accept because you might be like, well, I'm not in poverty, right? Like I'm middle class. Like I make decent money at my job and I, can mostly handle things. But if you feel like you're someone who struggles with money, where it's always feast or famine, where some months it's great and other months it's not, like that means you don't really have wealth consciousness. You have poverty consciousness. And poverty consciousness does not just mean you're poor, you're broke. It just means that you have a lack limiting way of looking at the world, at abundance, at money. And so what ends up happening, and again, this is mostly subconscious. So not saying you're doing it on purpose. No one is. For the most part, it's subconscious. It's being done subconsciously because it's programmed in you. And so it's just happening in the background automatically, just like you're breathing without thinking about it. Your heart is beating without thinking about it. It's just subconscious. It's happening in the background. So you have to consciously take back control and reprogram that subconscious part of you that believes all of those nonsense things about money and all of that. Because here is the truth. And this is the thing I said before that I'm about to say that might be a little intimidating and might be a little bit confronting, but it is 100% truth. And that is, there is only abundance. Everything else is an illusion, okay? Everything else is an illusion. It took me so long to understand this, but once you understand this, it changes everything for you, because what you start to realize is like abundance is the natural order of our universe, right? It is the natural order. If you look outside, the universe is abundant, right? The trees don't struggle to grow. The leaves don't struggle to come out. Like the plants, the things, they just grow. They just come out at the right times. They grow. The animals, like they're not struggling to figure out what they need to do to be an animal. Like they just naturally do things. It's naturally abundant. And that is because that is the nature of our universe, abundance. And we as humans create the illusions of lack by telling stories about ourselves that say we're broke, that we don't have money, that we can't afford things, that, we're not good enough, etc. And so we create the illusions of lack, the illusion that there is an abundance, but it's actually not true. It's an illusion. It's like rose-colored glasses or something, right? It's just you have goggles over your eyes that are actually blocking you from seeing the abundance that actually exists in our world. And so when you can start to shift your focus and look at what is abundant in my life, even if money isn't one of those things right now, which for me, for a long time, it wasn't. You just have to know that if you focus wherever there is abundance, that you will receive more of it, because you're putting your focus on what you want and what you actually know is true, which is abundance, because it is everywhere. And if you start to notice it, you'll really start to notice it everywhere, and you'll see it like, oh, wow, I really do have abundance in my life. And Even just this morning, as I was contemplating doing this video, because like I said, I've been back and forth on it for a while now, because I was just, I don't know, this is something I was taught my entire life that you shouldn't talk about, right? You shouldn't talk about money. You shouldn't bring money up and all of that. And so I had a lot of conflicting things going on inside about it, but I didn't want to listen to that, right? Because I felt the divine guidance of like, I need to share this with people. I need to teach this to people because it changed my life and is changing my life and continues to every day the more I step into that wealth consciousness. And I want to show you how to do the same thing, because I did not grow up with money, and I didn't grow up with believing that money was abundant, but I believe that now, right? And I feel it inside me now. And I know that when you feel it inside you, the outside matches, right? That's law of attraction, and we'll talk a lot more about that as well. So like I was saying, just this morning, I was literally looking around my living room and like, man, just in this living room, there are so many examples of abundance. I'm like, I literally have like 6 blankets on the couch right now. Like there's a whole shitload of pillows across the other chairs and things that are in front of me. Over on the other side of the room, there's a bookcase with tons of books in it. There's another one with tons of movies in it, like DVDs and stuff, which, you know, who even has those anymore? But, you know, tons of DVDs. Then there's another case across the other side that has a ton of records in it. And it's like, man, there's abundance everywhere. There's examples of abundance everywhere. You just have to be looking for it. But most of the time what happens is you're looking for the lack. You're looking for the limitation, because that's your programming, right? Your mind is programmed to look for the limitation, for the lack, for the evidence of those things, because that's the consciousness you have, right? The poverty consciousness. But once you have the wealth consciousness, once you start to create that wealth consciousness, you see more abundance. And when you see more abundance, you also see it in your money situation. So that is your assignment for this first video, is to first write this down. There is only abundance. Everything else is an illusion. Write it down, put it on a Post-it, hang it somewhere where you're going to see it all the time, because this is your first step in the direction of wealth consciousness, right? This is the first step, is getting to that truth, and that is the truth. There is only abundance. Everything else is an illusion. That's it, right? Our nature of our universe is abundance. We create the lack with our mindsets, with our focus, with the things we choose to believe, with the stories we choose to tell about ourselves and our lives. But you can also choose to tell a different story and get a different result. So that is what I'm going to leave you with. Write that down. Abundance is the only thing, right? Everything else is an illusion. Write it down, repeat it to yourself all day long, every day. And I am so excited to do this video series. I cannot wait to share the next video with you guys. If you enjoyed this, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel or share the video with your friends and family. And I will see you very soon in the next video. Until then, remember, feeling good is the point and the path.